Okay, welcome to CryptoPonics, everybody. Let me make sure my audio is working again. If anybody was watching earlier, again, I've had the problem with streaming where the audio doesn't actually work, which is starting to drive me crazy, right? I'm gonna have to figure out, in order, if I'm gonna be doing this, I'm gonna have to figure out how, what's going on here, right? And please tell me this isn't streaming is how beer will save the world again. I updated the, I did. Jeez. Whatever. Let me see if I can update the title of this real quick. I'm bamboozled on stuff here. I don't understand everything. I'll have to change the title later, but it is what it is. We'll move on with the episode. I can see I'm streaming. Let me make sure I have audio going. That's the one thing I want to check. And I can hear audio, so that's good news. So let's get moving, and I got to keep an eye on my audio bar, and I used to have no problems, right? And then I updated OBS, and then I'm on a new computer, so it's kind of a new experience, and for whatever reason, I'm having more difficulty than I should be having. Anyway, if we look at the crypto markets, we see a bloodbath. Bitcoin is down. It was almost down to 8,000 earlier. It was like 4.4%. It's coming back a little bit. What you see is all the other cryptos, and this is typical when Bitcoin goes down, everything else goes down with it. But when Bitcoin goes up, not everything goes up with it. So there's a little bit of a detachment there. And I have it set on volume right now, so it's showing you what's going on, and people are flocking into Tether, US dollar Tether, because it's a stable coin. And you'll see green on all the stable coins because people are jumping to the stable coins to seek shelter from the bloodbath that's going on. So, and I say bloodbath, it's only 3.5%, but this is what day traders do is I mean, if you can make 3% per day or 2% per day or whatever the percentage is, if you can make that per day 5 days a week or, however many days the traders are trading, and you don't even have to do it that many days, it adds up to real money, right? So they're ping-ponging between Bitcoin and Tether or Bitcoin and what was the other one that was getting blamed? USD coin. Look at how small that is by volume. The one article was blaming USD coin, US dollar coin, for hurting the crypto market. And I'm going to say, look at the size of that. That's not hurting. I'm not sure what TUSD is, but it's obviously the opposite of USDT. But it actually has, that's an Ethereum. Why is that under Ethereum? I don't know. I don't know why it's under Ethereum, but I'm assuming it's a Tether of some sort. It's a stable coin. Pax, I know for a fact Pax is a stable coin. So if you look, the greens are mostly stable coins. I say mostly. I'm sure there's a few cryptos in here that are pulling, bucking the trend. But for the most part, it's been a bloodbath this morning. So let's look at my coin real quick that I've been mining is Beam. And what we see with Beam is the hash rate in the pool I'm in is 1.67 megasouls. It's what I always check. I say 4 times that. So 4, and then 4 times 2, 4 times 6 is 24. So that'll give me 6.4. And that's more than the network hash rate. It's more than a quarter. So I should expect us to have more than a quarter when I come over here. And oh, lo and behold, excuse me, I think I'm getting a little bit sick or something. Lo and behold, I got 29 blocks out of the last 100. So it is a little bit above 25%. It looks like our luck is kind of, it's about, I would say about typical. What should be expected? If this was 10, well, then I know we got problems, right? We got really bad luck. 21 blocks in the last hour and 59 blocks pending. Now, the blocks pending, that used to be like 70-some blocks when we were hashing more, it seemed like. But it's gone down. I'm not exactly sure why. 3 minutes for the average block time is good for us. So we'll look at that real quick. Now, if I click the little search button, it gets me my miner. These are my rigs. Remember the other day I said I went through my rigs and I tweaked them. I changed the overclock settings. I'm up to 336 solutions per second for my rigs, and you can see it's been fairly consistent. Give me 1 second, please. There we go. And it's been fairly consistent going across as far as the hash rates. Okay, it looks like I was doing really well back here. 389 solutions per second was my average hash rate. Wow. I don't know how accurate that is, but whatever. So we come over here, you can see it's pretty straight line. I'm hashing very consistently, which is good news. I've been looking at my numbers down here as far as how well I'm hashing, and this is the new number. This used to be in the 171, 172, 173-ish. Now it's up to 181. This used to be like 111 to 113. Now it's like 117 with my new overclock settings. So my new overclocks, I kind of push this stuff a little bit more. I'm using a pinch more power, but really not that much. My 1060 card that I have mining, it was using 80 watts, and I think I got it up to maybe 90 watts or something. So I am using a little bit more power, but I'm getting significantly more hashing out of it. And over here, the unconfirmed balance, that's kind of a indicator of how well I'm doing. This on bad is like 0.5 is bad. I don't think I've ever seen 0.4 something, but maybe I have, like high 0.4, 0.49, 0.48, maybe at the worst. The best I think I've ever seen this is 1.7. So, and this is because what this is the last X number of blocks. It takes a certain amount of time to confirm a block. And so the bigger this number is, the more coin I'm taking in, right? For that unit time. So that's an indicator to me of how well it's hashing. It's hashing really well right now. And my confirmed balance is 77 coins. And there's currently a price point of 0.6. So let's copy 6168. Let's copy this over to my calculator and look what we got. We'll take a look at the calculator real quick. So we'll go here. Let me turn that on. And I need to make sure when I'm switching these tabs that I got audio with them, because I'm so tired of not having audio. Okay? And I think that explains. Let me just see something here. Nope, that doesn't. Okay, so that doesn't change anything. So we'll come into my calculator. I'm starting to get a fair amount of data in here, right? We'll put that in. What was that? I forget what that number was. 6168. Yep, 6168. So the coin price is going up a little bit as Bitcoin price is going up, so that's good. And what we see here is this is the actual data for the last 2 days, okay? And then this is the trending data for today. So that was 0.98 of a day that I tracked there. This was 1.0 of a day exactly, or within 2 minutes of a day. You can see here's the actual times. And coins per day is really what I want to focus on. So in the last 2 days, I've been doing really well. 5.68 coins and 5.48 coins for the last 2 days. And you can kind of see before that, I had one day here, 5.72, and then the reds are one standard deviation below the average, right, or worse. So hashing really well. Now you see here the difference between the 18th and the 19th, okay? The difference is $3.95 income per day because the coin price was higher, 69 cents instead of 60 cents this morning. So this morning when I logged on and documented this, it was 60 cents for one coin, right? And it's why I don't care about income per day. I'm a hodler, right? What I care about is coins per day. That's the important thing to me. Right now we got 1/10 of a day in the bucket and I'm hashing at 5.52. And the other thing I've added to this is, you can see here, 2 days ago, I made $1.15 profit per day, right? Now again, because I'm a hodler, I don't really care about profit like that because I don't plan on selling it at 70 cents. But if I was selling at 70 cents, I'm confident on that day I'd be making money, right? So some of the other days I wouldn't make money. This day I would make money. But I added a graph over here to kind of give myself some visual on what my coins per day looks like. And you can see it's kind of centered around 5. Now, is the boost because of the overclock changes, or is the boost because of less miners or I'm lower difficulty? We'll have to kind of let that one determine itself, right? Okay. Excuse me for one more minute. I have frogs crawling into my throat. So let's go from this to this, okay? So what I wanted to, this episode is about, it's an update video, okay? So what I wanted to update everybody on is, in the last episode, I think I talked about this. This is blockchain codes. I think I updated the name of it. And then I'm also going to talk about reward tiers plus people, okay? And the plus people part is what the main purpose of this video is about. But let's go through, update you on blockchain codes quick. So to enter this data into the blockchain, we I went through and I kind of started grouping this stuff. So I went through all my codes, I started grouping, and one of the things that I realized was, oh, well, I have categories. So all of the brownish colored stuff here is fish related categories, okay? So these are all, so that'll get updated in the blockchain as a block, if you will, or as a group, okay? Then I went through and I looked at all my, and you can see the different lists that I'm going to have and what the values could be. NV means no value, and then what the list values would mean, right? There's going to be a legend for this, and so as this information is being pushed into the blockchain, when you pull it out, it'll be mapped to this a file, and then this file will update, you know, to the actual codes, right? So we have fish-related stuff, which I updated some of the descriptions. My goal when I went through this, I saw that this was definitely missing, and this is a critical part of it because CryptoPonics, the crypto part, the blockchain part is critical. So then I went through, and this took up quite a bit of research. I went through and determined what are all the water tests that I'm gonna have to do, right? I never really looked at this before, but like temperature, pH, high range of pH, electrical conductivity, dissolved oxygen, TDS, total dissolved solids, water level of the various tanks that are in my system, ammonia and ammonium. What are those concentrations? Nitrite, hardness general, which is referred to GH, is typically what that is, and then KH is carbonate hardness. Okay, and I think it's CO2, but KCO2, but it might be KCO3. I'll update that as I need to. So if anybody watching this sees a deficiency in here, I ask you in the comments, help me out and tell me what I'm, you know, like PO4, I think it's like -3 or something, but I'm not that concerned about the ionic charge of that, right? Okay, so anyway, that's the water related stuff. Then I kind of went through the list and I said, oh, but there's another group of what I'm adding to the systems to, like if I add calcium carbonate and all the fish die, well, then we know why the fish died probably, right? It would be a cause and effect kind of thing. So we got to track all of this, right? And I talked about this in the other one, but what I see that I'll be adding, and there may be more than this, but maybe not. Calcium carbonate, magnesium carbonate, and chelated iron will be 3 of the things for sure I know I'll be adding, right? There may be more, like I said. If there is, drop it in the comments, please. Let me know. Help me out. Then the last, well, there's 2 categories left. One is, there might be more categories that I haven't thought about yet too, right? But this category is what I'll call local conditions, right? So you got the ambient temperature, you got the humidity of, you know, the local area, the barometric pressure. And I was kind of like, well, because barometric pressure changed things, right? I know when you're fishing, and I don't know the rules because I'm not that big of a fisherman, but low pressure versus high pressure, one of them is good to fish and one's not good to fish in, right? And or is it the changing of pressure that's good to, so do we ultimately, I mean, maybe we study this and we say maybe we change how much we feed based on the barometric pressure, if it's changing, or I don't know the answer, but it's an important parameter I think to track, right, for my surroundings, right? Lighting intensity, I'm going to set up an array of these sensors and calculate or determine what the lighting intensity and load that into the blockchain, right? Yeah, and see, this is where I go crazy. There's so much to do here, guys. So what I'm going to do, lighting intensity num points. Forgive me, I didn't want to turn this into, every episode does this though. LGTN is lighting intensity number of points, one character fix used based on how many measure points there are, right? So because this lighting intensity, the sensors are pretty cheap. So I'm going to set up an array of them, and that's where anything that has a location ID like this, where X is the location ID, it needs to have the num points so that we can query and go through and get that number of points from the data itself instead of having to discover the data, okay? I think, but somebody else will have to determine all this. greenhouse, this is my initial thoughts, right? So we got lighting intensity, we got greenhouse CO2, we talked about that last time, greenhouse temperature, and greenhouse humidity. So within the greenhouse itself, we're going to measure humidity and temperature because these two come, there's a LHT22 probe or something like that. I can't remember its exact number, but it does temperature and humidity together, right? Now the CO2, what did we say? These were pretty expensive, I think. They're like $30 each, so an array of 10 is like $300. We said this system was going to be $500. And lighting intensity, those are cheap. So what I'm planning on is having, like, within the greenhouse, having 10 stations where I do these measurements, right? Now the ambient temperature, pressure, and humidity, those are going to be just one data point for each blockchain update we do. Okay, and then last but not least is I'm going to have to create beer brewing. Brewing beer is going to get entered into the blockchain as well. And let me go to the chat. I don't want to be missing any chats if somebody drops in. My channel is just starting, so I don't have a lot of views right now, but that's all right. We'll grow. We'll grow with time as I do this consistently. Anyway, beer brewing is going to be entered in the blockchain as well. And I think when we make a batch of beer, we're going to start entering that information into the blockchain. And I'll have to determine exactly what we're going to enter into the blockchain, right? So, yeah, that should be fun though, right? But the main purpose, well, there's two purposes. One is we can track the beer itself, okay? And then number two is we can track I guess the main tie to CryptoPonics or to Aquaponics is the CO2 generated. And I want to measure how much CO2 is being generated over time and load all that data into the blockchain. And once I have that loaded into the blockchain, we can then calculate how much CO2, and that's where I was talking about this CO2 dissipation, diffusion throughout the greenhouse, and really look at how it changes plant growth, right? Measure the plant growth. Now, I got to think about how I'm going to measure plants. That's one of the things. Oh my God. Okay, so measure plant growth. How do you do that, right? Why did it turn it green? No, don't be green. Just be black for now. I'm assuming the way you measure plant growth is I'll have to take plants out of the what are they called? They're called the cups, whatever those cups are called that they grow in. I'll have to take them out of I'll have to take the cup out. So if it's in one of those rafts, I'll have to take the cup out, shake water off, put it on a scale and measure it real quick. That's what I'll do. Yep. And I'll pick certain plants to measure consistently, right? But I was kind of missing that in here. If anybody else sees any missing data, please provide some comments, some feedback. You got to measure this as well. So this is one of the things. This is going to be like grams for defined plants, okay? And one thing you don't see on here, but I've thought about this, is we're going to put cameras in this around this area. So we'll have cameras kind of tracking everything, okay? So I might even have a camera out of my bedroom. Well, no, because I'll have to watch, make sure audio is not being monitored. Okay, so beer brewing and plants. Plants. Oh my gosh, I can't even believe that I forgot about this part. Okay, so that covers, you see, I've updated, last episode, there was a lot of holes, there was a lot of stuff. It took me quite a bit of time. I went and researched for aquaponics, what are all the things that you measure in the water, and these things tell you stuff about your system, and you have to make adjustments and stuff like that. Then I went through and a bunch of stuff was added here, and it's still being developed, but it's a much more robust. I would say it's near completion. I'm going to call this 95% complete right now, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right, but and I'm an optimist, so that's what I'm doing. Okay, this next tab I wanted to cover, and this is really the purpose of this video, is I've updated the rewards, the reward tiers, the reward options. I did a little update there. I did some searching on the internet, and then I've come up with some people. We need volunteers, and that's the purpose of this video. I want you. If you're watching this, I want you. I want a sliver of your time. I'm looking for people to donate some time and be involved. It could be a half an hour. It could be you could just comment. That's participating, right? But that I'm looking for volunteers, and I'm looking to fill certain spots for volunteers. So we'll go through that in a minute. Anyway, as far as rewards and stuff go, I went and I searched Kickstarter. I went and searched Indiegogo or whatever it's called. I went and searched donation2.com, blog, blah, blah, blah. I searched a bunch of different places, and here's a list of additional ideas. I didn't put them in the list yet because I just wanted to throw them in a scratch space where I'm kind of holding them. But right now, what I said to myself is, we got a certain amount of points, and I don't know why I have it in this order, but well, because this one's bigger maybe. You got points, how many points something would cost or that would be used, and what the reward would be. So like name a fish is 2.5 points. So if you make a donation, so down here, donations can be done in crypto as well. I put that in there. Now I really got to think through this, but for CryptoPonics, I can't hodl I definitely can't hodl the crypto, but I'm going to sell the high points, right? So I'll come up with an algorithm to do that. And I never sell at a single point. I sell with a distribution. But crypto we have to sell because we need money, right? To do what we need to do. And I created this table. So one-time donations, these are, if you do a one-off donation, here's the amounts. And based on that amount, or if you do a reoccurring donation after so many times, right? So where did I say that to? There's going to be like a 3-month window that we're going to watch, okay? I didn't put that in here, but it's the concept I have. So recurring, if you donate $2.5 after 2 months, you've earned 2.5 points. So after 1 month, you would have earned 1.25 points. So each donation, you're going to earn a certain amount of points that we're going to track, okay? And based on those points, you can then convert those points into rewards. Now, this is not the final version of this. This is not the actual version. This is kind of an idea of a version, right? And I want to reward people who support us. So if somebody says, I want to help CryptoPonics, and geez, I would really like crypto in exchange. I'd like cryptocurrency. So you can, if you donated $100, for example, you would get 50 points, and then you could say, my 50 points, I can convert that into 50 points. That would give you 10 blocks of this, right? 50 points. And this would be, so that's a 50% return is what it is. I guess I had that a little wrong. That's why I'm saying this has to be gone through and checked. And if you donate $100, let's look at this again. If you donate $100, you get 50 points, right? 50 points coming here would get you 5 units of this, would get you $50 of crypto. That's right. So see, that's what I'm saying. This is not final yet. It's still a work in progress. It needs to be gone through. It needs to be quality assured. It needs to be updated. We need to look through this list of things that I just copied and pasted, and do those go in here? And then there's some things that aren't point-based, but they're donation level. So like video credits or Discord channel access, or do we let everybody in Discord, or you know what I'm saying? We'll have to kind of flesh all this out to determine how we're going to do it. Okay, but this is the concept: is we're going to have some reward point-based system, and then we will have some reward earning algorithm, if you want to call it this way. And this is really, it's just an algorithm, right? Because once you say 500 plus, I know exactly how to do that, right? Looking at the previous data. And then the last part of this, and this is really the purpose of this video, is to request assistance, guys, okay? I really want to do this global vision of aquaponics. It's not going to be a full-time job for me, because right now I can really focus a lot of time and attention on this, but in the future, I'm going to be changing my life. I'm going to start going out and doing stuff again, and I want to have a what do I say? And you'll get updates on this, but how do I phrase this? I want to change the world, and I'll tell you how in the future. So, and I know I can change the world in a very significant way. So, because I've been doing it for 20 years, 20 plus years. But to make CryptoPonics a true changing event for the world, because I believe CryptoPonics can save the world, because we talk about urban farming, right? Urban farming is the concept of CryptoPonics. It's having food created in an urban environment that doesn't take up massive acres of land, that provides a nice supply point, that the food density is really high in the urban farm, right? That's the concept of it. And if I can prove this CryptoPonics concept, and I say prove the CryptoPonics concept, the crypto portion isn't necessarily needed. You can do this without doing the crypto part, quote unquote. I'm doing it because I'm the test well. I have to collect all this data to provide the evidence, to provide the proof that CryptoPonics works, right? If I just said, oh, my design is the best design in the world, okay, because I have goals again, right? We talked about these goals. Let me zoom in here. My goals are, I'm going to study lift pumps. I'm going to study standard pumps like mag drive or centrifugal pumps versus lift pumps versus geyser pumps. That's a study I'm going to do, right? So another goal I have is the lowest cost per pound or kilogram of fish. I want to raise fish at the absolute lowest cost you could possibly do it, right? Now, I was talking to my mother last night. Now, it's funny. I was saying to her, well, I have to figure out what to do with the fish carcasses. When I harvest all this fish, I don't know what people do with their fish carcasses today. You know what I mean? And I went on the web, I did some search, and some people use it for fertilizer. Some people, I'm kind of wondering, can I grind it up and mix it with duckweed, for example, and create a food pellet that the fish will eat? Is that a possibility? There's a lot of things I have to try here, right? Or what's the ratio, right? If I had like 1 part ground up fish carcass, dried out ground up fish carcass mixed with 9 parts of duckweed, because from what I know, tilapia, they're not cannibalistic, right? But when we say cannibalistic, that means that they eat the actual fish, right? But would they eat a pellet that was made out of dried, compacted fish? I'm very interested in finding the answer to that, right? Because I'm going to have a lot of fish carcasses. I mean, I'm not going to calculate right now, but I'm going to have a lot of fish carcasses. So I got to figure out what to do with that, right? I also have a goal, lowest cost per pound, kilogram of vegetables. And when I say this for urban farming, we'll call it, right? For urban farming. Because somebody that has a giant pond, they're going to be able to beat me because they don't have to build like the containment for the fish, right? So they might be able to beat me that way, but maybe they can't either. Maybe I'm doing better things, right? By brewing beer, I'm going to have this 30%, 36% increase in vegetable growth. So, maybe I can do that, right? I'm hoping I can do it. Now, I'm going to have the CO2 sensors in order to really understand how the CO2 dispersion works, to understand am I doing it properly, right? Provide low-cost source of vegetables, fish for me, and locally based supporters. So people who live in the local area, I mean, if you support me, you're going to be able to come at we'll have designated times, right? But you'll be able to come and take some fish with you, and take some vegetables. Now, we'll have to have some type of waivers, I think, where you release liability, but we'll go through that, right? Provide low-cost source of vegetables, fish to the local community, right? This is where we're starting to talk about neighbors and other people. If I have an excess of tomatoes where the tomatoes will just go to waste, I'm going to start giving them away to neighbors or doing what I have to do to, so that they don't go to waste, because waste not, want not, right? That's a nice slogan too, right? I need a tab for that as well. Excuse me for a quick second. Merch ideas. One of the waste not, want not. Oh, what the I just saw an article today was that Fox News is trademarking OK Boomer for a TV show they're doing. Okay. And they're literally trademarking the phrase "Okay, Boomer." And then the last one, and I apologize for this diversion again. It's what happens to me. It's how I think, right? CO2, the new Brondo. Okay, so those were merch ideas for slogans, or maybe slogan ideas. Well, merch ideas, slogan ideas, okay? And I apologize for getting so distracted. It's just what happens to me over and over and over, right? Was I here? I think I was talking about reward tiers, right? Yeah, I was done with this. So this is the blockchain and stuff that's going to get entered. And I'm sad that I got more work to do, but whatever. That's how it always is, right? So we got our points. This is going to have to be developed by, us, quote unquote. And us as a community, us as a group, right? And then the donations will have to come up with this and kind of say, oh, well, this much gets this, and it's how it works. Because people do this, right? This is, you want to reward your supporters, definitely. And maybe I think we incentivize the bigger donors more, but we'll figure that out too. Yeah. I'll have to figure that out. And then the last but not least, guys, I started going through and I started looking at all that I have to do, okay? So when I say all I have to do, I have a lot of work left to do, okay? I have a tremendous amount of work, and I'm looking for help. And any help, if you can give me, if you can commit 1 hour a month, that's more than nothing, right? Now, if I do this by myself, which I want to do this period, right? And I plan on doing this period. It's one of the reasons I am coming up with, the parts list? One of the reasons I'm coming up with the parts list is I want to know how much is this going to cost me, right? Because if, like, the system, there's some things that are required. There's things in this parts list, excavatio de secretis. There's nothing in here that is going to be what I'm going to call absolutely necessary, right? I won't be able to do CryptoPonics without this, okay? I won't be able to do CryptoPonics without this, but I can still do aquaponics without this, right? So I want to do CryptoPonics, but my main goal is, it all started with a tomato. I want good vegetables, right? And so it starts from that tomato, and then it goes to, okay, see there? That's another. It all started with a tomato. That's another slogan idea, right? It's crazy how I think, right? But like, this is not required. It's a stretch goal, right? To do CryptoPonics, to actually do CryptoPonics, it is required for CryptoPonics. It's not required for aquaponics, okay? This is required, this is required, this is required, this is required. These are all required. I'm going to say required. Now, you can see over here, I haven't developed these at all. Still, I haven't done any work on these since the last time I've updated. Required. I think some of this is required, but not all of this, right? Do I have to go crazy in the greenhouse? Do I have to monitor all of the CO2? And do I have to brew beer and put the beer CO2? No, I don't have to do any of that, right? I'm going to be brewing beer anyway, so I figure I might as well do a CO2 study with it, right? The license I'm going to have to do, and the solar system, and maybe I should do that, right? That's a stretch goal. We'll call that a stretch goal. And the solar energy, green energy, right? Renewable energy, we'll call it. That's a stretch goal, right? So knowing that, and once I develop this is going to be a couple thousand, maybe this might be more than a couple thousand, right? Because, well, it depends what I'm going to have to. So now I'm going to have to do two things. I'm going to have to say what's critical for me. No, we are going to meet our stretch goals. I know we are, because the community is going to watch this video. They're going to say, yes, let's do this, and let's move forward, okay? yeah, that's all there's to it. So there's so much work to do. I mean, I've really kind of thought about all the stuff I have to do. I almost need a professional shopper too. Yes, see, I'm going to add that. Procurement manager. So let me tell you what I did here, okay? So there's two types of people that I've defined in this file that I need, right? So I've gone through and I said, what are all the things I need help with, right? What are all the things that need to be done? So social media. Right now I have 0 social media. Don't have a Facebook account, don't have Instagram, don't have, you know, blah, 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 blah. None of it is done, okay? And I want to entrust somebody. Now, you have to be a responsible person. So, but to begin with, I have to trust people, okay? And I have to get a volunteer, right? So we're going to have a manager. A manager is the primary responsibility person, right? So there's going to be a person that's going to have the passwords to the accounts and stuff like that, and going to be primarily responsible for this footprint presence, okay? So we got social media coordination manager. There's going to be a primary contact. Now, if you want to donate your time and you want this responsibility, oh, that sounds cool, that I can manage the responsibility of social media for CryptoPonics. You'll be assigned. We'll put names in here, okay? Now, we might ultimately put person 1, yeah, person tick, whatever. If I can hit the right keyboard, we might put person 1 and then have a map. If you don't, you know, we're not going to disclose people's names, I don't think, or maybe we'll have pseudonames in here, right? That sounds like the right thing. Pseudonames. I'll have to figure. This always cracks me up when I get into stuff like this, right? Pseudonym. There. See, you know, some words I've never ever pseudonym. No, that's pseudonym. That's not pseudonym. Pseudonym is this. What I'm looking for. Jesus. Oh, jeez. Okay, that's what I want. Pseudonym. If you don't use the words in a long time, it's like that's kind of an odd one, right? We'll put plural in there. So, and I'm not going to fill that down, but so social media coordination manager. If you are good at social media, it's something you enjoy doing, and you want to manage the social media for CryptoPonics. I implore you, I beg you, please volunteer. Please volunteer, and I will assign you with a pseudonym that position, okay? And you will have the responsibility we'll set up accounts. Now, those accounts are going to have, I'm going to have all the passwords and stuff eventually, because when you move on, you know, we need to be able to maintain all this. So I will create the accounts. You'll tell me what to create, and I'll create the accounts, and then you can manage it from there, right? But if you say, well, I don't want to manage it, but I want to support it, right? I'm good at social media. I like doing social media. I want to do posts and stuff. Now, in order to do a post to our social media, you have to either be the manager or an assistant, or if you're one of these other people and you want to do a post, it's all going to be run through the social media coordination manager, right? So if a brewing assistant wants to post something to social media, they're going to compose it, if you will, send it to the manager, and the manager posts it, right? Or the manager approves it. That's what we'll say, right? But the social media coordination manager is going to be approving all of our social media footprint, okay? And assistants are people who will help, right? So obviously the roles are pretty clear here. Managers have a lot more responsibility, right? They have the managerial responsibility for that footprint, that space, and assistants are there to provide assistance to the managers, right? And I said 1 to X. Originally, I was like, oh, you know, we could have 1 assistant or we could have 50 assistants, and the more we have, the better we are, right? So social media is one area we need huge help in, right? Right now we have no footprint, okay? Crowdfunding manager and crowdfunding assistance. Again, we have no footprint. Now you're going to say, well, but you have, and I'm going to have to come up with a pseudonym for myself for CryptoPonics. I don't know what I'm going to call myself yet. I'm not going to call myself any of my previous names. I'm going to come up with a new name, right? Crowdfunding. We need crowdfunding managers. So if crowdfunding is something that now crowdfunding and social media are kind of tied together, right? Because that's what I'm saying. But if you're in charge of crowdfunding, that's different than social media, in that you're interacting with Kickstarter and GoFundMe and Indiegogo and those websites, right? And social media is Facebook and Instagram and that type of stuff, right? Web presence manager or website presence manager. It could just be web manager. Maybe that's the right name there. Yeah, I'll say web manager and web assistant, right? Okay. So ultimately, and I'm trying to remember which platform it was. Oh, I've been doing my Render Forest. I've been doing my intro and outro videos through Render Forest, and if you actually get a subscription to Render Forest, which I probably should do, so that I can take the little banner off my intro and outro and stuff, right? But if you get a subscription through them, you actually get a website, okay? So we could create a CryptoPonics website, and then Web Manager could then manage that for us, and we could have our shop on there, et cetera, et cetera. There's so much. Again, this in itself. I mean, it could be a full-time job, right? And eventually, if we turn this into a business, which was one of the goals, right? One of the goals was provide low-cost source of vegetables and fish to farmers markets / restaurants, right? If successful, hire people and convert into a continuous business. So you see here, it's the potential. There is a potential to say to ourselves, well, we're starting off as a hobby, we're starting off small, but if this is a successful endeavor, this could turn into a business, okay? And we'll see that in a minute too, right? So anyway, graphics art manager, graphic art assistant, okay? So, and I'm going to propose, well, no, we're going to put in pseudonyms of people here, right? And the pseudonyms tab will be invisible. I think I'll have to unlock that. So I keep that secret, but graphic arts, somebody has to develop stuff for us, right? For our merch, for the web, for social media, for crowdfunding. We need graphic arts for all of those things, right? And that's really how this kind of was developed, right? Cryptocurrency manager, again, somebody needs to have, what remote means is, can the position be a remote position, or is it going to have to be a local position, okay? And when I say that, is something like the brewing, somebody has to be local to brew the beer, okay? Somebody has to be local, because the greenhouse is going to have a location, right? And so the brewing now whether it's the manager could manage without being, but one of these two people, and I would argue that the manager has to be local, and assistants could be local as well. You would hope they were, right? But they could be remote potentially, right? Potentially. Okay, so graphic arts, we got graphic arts, we talked about that. Cryptocurrency is the parts list. If we come here, it's the excavatio de secretis, and it's this stuff, right? But it's more than that. It's about managing the crypto. It might be the trading. It might be the selling and buying of crypto. It will be, because everything crypto related, this cryptocurrency manager should be involved with, right? Because if we have to, let's just argue that somebody wants to trade in their points, their supporter points that they get. If they want to trade it in for merch, we need cash, right? Now, potentially to get that cash, we might need to sell crypto, right? And we want to sell crypto. We don't want to sell crypto. What was my slogan I used on the website the other day? You don't sell when you need. when you need the money. You don't sell when you need the money, but you determine what you should sell at. And I said it much more eloquently than that. But what I'm trying to say is, you don't sell crypto when you need $10. You don't sell $10 of crypto. That's not how it should be working. You should be setting up sale orders in advance of the actual sale. So you say, well, the crypto's at $1 right now. I don't want to sell at $1. I want to sell. I believe it can go to $1.25 in the near future. And I think it'll actually. And you start putting a distribution of sale points above that, right? So that's going to be the responsibility of the crypto manager to set that stuff up, right? And he'll have a cryptocurrency assistant. Now, this type of stuff here, again, is going to be. I'm going to have to trust people originally, right? And like with crypto, we might set up some small accounts and keep kind of working. Now, crypto is dangerous because this is going to have to be a person that's really highly trusted, right? Because with crypto, if you have a fair amount of crypto, they could transfer it to the wallet and you're done, right? Which would be fraud, but it is what it is, right? So we got cryptocurrency, aquaponics manager. I mean, aquaponics assistant, right? So this is who is this? Who's doing this? Who wants to be responsible for aquaponics? There's people out there that like aquaponics. This aquaponics manager, you could say, well, they want to manage, and we could have assistants that aren't. I don't see that these are necessarily. These don't have to be local people, right? Because I could do the aquaponics work, if you understand what I'm saying. But a manager would go through, and a manager could say, well, for aquaponics, we need to measure these water quality things, and for aquaponics you have too many fish in your things, and blah blah blah. It's the manager is going to run the system, quote unquote, from a supervisory level, not necessarily doing the day-to-day stuff, right? Okay, so this is something that I definitely could see being remote, almost like a consultant, if you want to think of it that way, and or you could be local. One of the things I've thought about is printing out a bunch of flyers and going to parking lots and putting these flyers on the parking lots to try to solicit donations and volunteers. I mean, I think volunteers are more important than donations, and I say that right now. Before I do anything, I want to get a group of volunteers in each one of these categories. I have to. Before I didn't even want to do my GoFundMe, just so we're clear. I didn't want to publish my GoFundMe at the time it went live, but it's kind of like I was creating an account, and then when you create the account, it goes live. I mean, it's not like you create the account and then you check a box to say go live. It's like you create the account and you're live, which I think is, some feedback for GoFundMe. You should be able to create an account and start putting stuff in before you actually go live, because it was like you create the account and you're live, and it's like, holy crap, what did I just do, right? So anyway, aquaponics manager, like we just talked about, a brewing manager, right, and brewing assistants. So especially with beer brewing going into the blockchain, and I actually like this idea now more and more, and maybe, I was talking to my mom, and again, you're going to say, well, what are you talking to your mom about? Well, I bounce the ideas off of all types of people, right? Because people of different backgrounds will give you different feedback. That's where diversity actually comes into effect, right? Diversity is good for brainstorming. So I was talking to my mother, and she said, well, you're not just going to be able to brew beer and sell it. You're going to have to get some type of license or something. You know what I'm saying? And from a brewing manager standpoint, that's the type of stuff that we're going to have to be looking at is, okay, so how do we brew? How much do we brew? What are the different, do we have all the stuff we want for brewing? Do we want to improve stuff? What's the name of our brew? Or do we have different brews? Or, you know what I mean? And what instrumentation do we need for brewing? Right now, I brew kind of pretty manual. But in the future, we could start brewing much more, professionally, and especially if we're going to produce a beer product. And I say that if we actually get to the point where we are producing saleable beer, right? We're going to have to look at whether it's by keg or it's by bottles or it's by, you know what I'm saying? Because I know how to bottle, and that would actually be cool to go to like a local convenience store and put in cryptoponic crypto beer. I'll have to figure out the name for it, right? But it'd be really cool to go to a local distributor and that's what I'm saying, a brewing manager and brewing assistants, and dear Lord help me. There's just thinking about the beer portion of it, and if you ultimately start brewing enough beer that you have to start selling it, right, that I can't drink it all, which I can't, eventually we'll have to see. Maybe I can't drink it all. But that's kind of a cool concept right there. Think about how cool that would be, right? To have your own beer line in different, we're going to produce an ale, and we're going to produce a IPA, and we're going to produce a stout, and we'd have to go through and define, here's the different types of beers we're going to do, and pick out the ingredients and pick out the recipes and create the recipes and consistently produce it. You know what I mean? Make some batches and consistently reproduce it, and then start kegging it and bottling it, and you know what I mean? And bottling it, you could bottle beer. How do I phrase this? You could bottle beer in a manual process without too much difficulty, and I say that sincerely. I've thought about this: is if I carbonate my beer and then I put carbonated beer into a bottle and then capped it right away, you would want to overcarbonate slightly, right? Put it in the bottle, cap it, and you would want to cool your beer down too. So you'd want to cool your beer a lot. You'd want to, that way it could take the max carbonation. You would want to highly carbonate it. Then you would want to cap it. And then when it warmed up, it's going to expel CO2. But, that whole process, you could figure it out, right? So that you could have bottled beer. Now, you would want to, that way you're not going to have any yeast settling in the bottom, et cetera, et cetera. So how cool would that be to have your own beer line, right? This business idea has so many branches to it, right? Now, on a small scale, when I'm doing 5-gallon, little batches myself, it's not that giant concept, right? Automation programming manager. This is all about Arduino, okay? This is Arduino, Raspberry Pi, sensors, controllers, touch screens, display units, etc., etc., etc. And if it includes computers, so be it, okay? It might include, what happened here? Hold up, let me see something. I'm going to check my stream real quick, make sure I'm still streaming. Yeah, it is still streaming. Excellent. It might include computers. Maybe this is bigger than I'm thinking, but my initial thoughts is using Raspberry Pis and web integration, which again, that's going to be the web manager, web assistant is going to be web integration, right? And what type of sensors do we need, how to set them up, blah, 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 blah. Again, this to me, this to me could be a completely remote position, right? You don't have to be here to be this person. You could be located anywhere. And the manager provides the kind of vision and the guidance, and assistants provide technical support. And I could install things that, you know what I mean? And I'm not sure I want to be soldering PCBs myself. I could probably, but that might be an assistant's position to help for automation programming. So that's kind of an electrical kind of position, right? Yeah. Sustainable foods manager, sustainable foods assistant. This is kind of the, I'm going to put the word business in here, okay? You know what I think I want to do too is I want to go to the U of H, the local university. I actually got my degree from the University of Houston. I think I want to go to University of Houston and post some boards. And I actually am a lifetime member, alumni member at University of Houston. So I have access to other resources at U of H that I can, post some of this stuff, right? Because to me, a business student, right, would say, oh my God, this would be perfect for me. And whether you do it as an assistant or, you know what I mean? But developing the business kind of focus of this is how do we turn these ideas into how do we do the outreach and we prove a business model, right? And when we say we prove a business model, we're proving the vegetable portion, we're proving a fish portion, we're proving a beer portion. Those are the three things. There might be other portions too that we're identifying, right? But how do we prove those markets? How do we prove those sectors of our business and then develop it into a real business, right? And that person is going to be responsible for, if we wanted to make this a business, that person would be responsible for doing what's necessary to convert it to a business. So that's a really critical role, right? From a long-term sustainable business concept, right? Safety manager. Why didn't I put an assistant in here? I don't know why. Well, I thought a safety manager could be fine, but maybe, just maybe somebody just wants to be a safety assistant. They don't want the responsibility to be the manager, but a safety manager is going to look and kind of be watching everything that everybody does, okay, and identifying risks that are involved, okay, and looking at risk mitigation. So, like, I was watching a video of a sushi chef. One of the things, okay, so let me tell you how my brain thinks, is with the fish, generating all of these fish, we're going to have 168 fish potentially being harvested every 9 weeks, right? And the harvest of those fish are going to occur 7 days and then 7 days, okay? So it'll be 1 week you'll harvest half the batch, and the next week you'll harvest the other half the batch, which means filleting and processing of those fish is going to be important. And so I started looking into fillet knives and sharpening stones and stuff like that, and that led me to watching a video about a sushi chef. I was watching him fillet fish, right? And watching him fillet the fish, and he actually made a sushi recipe, or then I watched, he made teriyaki. And when he made the teriyaki, he stuck his hand, he basically put sake, which is an alcohol, it's a flammable alcohol. He put sake, or it was called mirin. I think it was called mirin, M-I-R-I-N, which I didn't even know what that was. I had to look it up. It's a sake equivalent, I think. And he boiled it, and then he said, "Oh, you got to burn the mirin off. You got to burn it, right?" And he literally stuck his hand inside the pot with the lighter, and he's expecting this mirin to like burst into flames. And I'm sitting saying, "Dude, you're gonna burn your freaking hand. If that mirin, the vaporized mirin catches fire, you're gonna burn your hand off, right?" And it was astounding to me. If I'm a safety manager, I'm going to watch the video, and then I'm going to talk to him later, and I'm going to say, "Hey, master sushi chef, when you go to light the mirin, you need a longer burner. You can't be sticking your hand inside the pot like that, because if the mirin catches fire, there's a potential you'll burn yourself." You know what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to be overly crazy about safety, but I'm being real about safety. You have to be safe in what you do. So it's an important part of what we're doing, and so safety. What else can I say, right? Program manager and program coordination assistant. These two positions, I think I'm going to be the program manager, right? But eventually, I could be replaced, right? So this is a person who oversees everything. Kind of is the person with the hand on the helm, if you will. Think of a ship, and you get the whatever it's called, the big steering wheel on a ship, whatever, I think it's called a helm, right? Steering the ship. That's kind of a, now I might fill multiple roles in here, forgive my stuttering. I might fill all types of roles in here, okay? But somebody needs to be an overall vision manager, right? Program manager, and then program coordination assistants would help in that role also. That's the assistant portion. Operations supervisor. So, and here again, I'm kind of, what I'm bothered by here is I'm not, yeah. Now these, I'm gonna take this off. I'll tell you why I'm taking this off. We don't need to have 40 people in these categories, right? So operations supervisor is a person who's going to look at operations, look for the inefficiencies, look for, and it's kind of like the program manager. An operations supervisor is going to be looking at how are things operating? Are they operating effectively? What are the bottlenecks? What do we need to fix in the future, right? Data coordination manager, same thing is, so we're going to be generating, potentially we'll be generating, well, if this CryptoPonics vision is realized, we are going to be generating a tremendous amount of data, right? So how is that data accessible, right? Now, you're going to have a web presence, so some of it's going to be through there, right? We're going to have a blockchain, so that's going to be kind of the crypto manager with the web manager working together, right? But to access the actual data, you're not going to go through our web, or we might have a widget in our web, but it's going to have to integrate with the cryptocurrency where the data is stored in the blockchain, right? So that's how that coordinates. And then we're going to, when is data purged? How long is data kept? All types of stuff, right? So somebody's gonna have to be looking at the data aspect of our operation. Electrical design manager, yeah, what can I say? So, and assistant. So this is really coming down to there's all types of electricity needed here, right? And we want somebody that is competent, highly competent in electrical schematics and electrical design and yeah, whatever. I don't need to say more. It speaks for itself. It's a really complex area that requires somebody with specific knowledge and specific credentials or abilities in these areas. Now, again, this is all volunteers. So, and maybe that's the thing is I need to maybe add another thing here is hours per month. I mean, I'm asking for as much time as a person can provide, but obviously it's donation, it's volunteer time, so it's going to be limited. You know what I mean? But we'll have to see what the. Sometimes you won't have any requirements, right? Sometimes you'll have a bunch. So we'll see. Legal compliance manager and legal assistants. These are attorneys. And again, I'm thinking going to the University of Houston and saying law students, right? Do I want my manager to be a law student or do I want my manager to be an actual lawyer, an attorney? I would prefer to have an attorney as the manager, right? But if we can't, if we have a student that's going to school that says, hey, I want to act in this role as the legal compliance manager, the legal manager, right? And we could change the title if need be, right? All of these titles are just my placeholders, but somebody looking at the legal aspects of it, like the beer brewing aspects, the fish, what do we have to do? You know, all the any agreements we have to make or release agreements or all that stuff. You know, that's what this is, right? And then I put this one on there as procurement manager. Maybe we have somebody that actually looks at what we're procuring and studies it and says, well, procurement supply chain, right? / supply chain. That's really what this is. What are we buying? What's the best way to buy this stuff? Let me tell you a story about this real quick, okay? There's a piece of, what is it? There's a piece of equipment I need for electrical, okay? And I went on, I've been watching videos and I've been asking the communities for help. Hey, can somebody help me design this? Because I couldn't find that item that I wanted designed as a component. It wasn't purchasable as an item. I couldn't find it, right? So I was watching YouTube videos and saying, hey, I want something like what this is, but I need it different, right? And here's what I need. And I've been asking the communities from those viewers for help, and I haven't gotten any help, right? So I kept searching for it, and finally I actually found what I was looking for. I found this item for sale on Amazon, right? And it was for sale for $27, okay? And I said to I need multiple of them. So when you start talking about $30, it starts getting expensive, right? So if you need multiple of those items, my question is, what's the most economical source I can find for it, okay? So I literally went to the internet. I copied like the model number for it, and I went to the internet, and I pasted the model number and searched for it, and lo and behold, the item's actually made in Russia, Okay. There's some company or some person or some group, I'm not sure how Russia operates, okay? But there's somebody in Russia that produces this thing, and it's available on a Russian website, okay? Now, the ruble is the Russian currency, right? So it took me a while to get the damn website translated, but because translate.bing.com or translate.google.com, they don't have a button that says translate anymore, and I literally had to watch some videos, and that didn't work, and I literally probably spent an hour figuring out how to translate the website. But what I did was I searched in Bing, and literally in Bing there's a translate button on the search results. You just click and it translates, which was cool once I found out how to do it, right? And I should make a video on that, but whatever. So I translated the website from Russian, and I think it was actually Ukrainian, to English, okay? But I swear to God, it said that the what's the Ukrainian currency? No, what is the Ukrainian currency called? It's Harvenia. Harvenia or Ravinia? Okay, so it's not okay. I'm looking it up. Sorry about that, guys. It's not the it's not the ruble. Okay, this is where I was. It's not the ruble. So this is where I'm talking about procurement supply chain managers. It's so important. I swear it converted to Russian, and then I think the currency was the ruble. I don't know the Russian symbols for ruble that they do on websites and stuff, but it looked to me to be the ruble, okay? But when I translated it translated to something that didn't look like the ruble, but whatever. But I calculated, if you bought through this Russian website, the cost of the item was $8.92 or something like that at the current conversion of 64 rubles per $1. Okay? Now, there was an email address in there, and it said, oh, email me, blah, 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 blah. So you could buy this item from Russia for $8.92. We'll call it $9, right? Now, if you bought 10 of them, let's say you bought 10 of these things, so that's $90 purchase, right? And then you said, oh, I got to pay for freight from Russia to the U.S. That's probably cheap. You could send them an email, right? You could talk to these people directly. They did have contact information. And you could buy 10 of them. They could stick it in a box. They could ship them. Maybe, your shipping is going to be cheap if you take a slow shipping method, right? And you could make sure you communicate that with them, right? And then ultimately, you could get the item for $90 plus, let's say, I don't know, $25 of shipping from Russia to here. Let's just say, right? on a slow shipping, because you don't want to have it overnight, hot shotted, right? Because these are things that you want to do in advance. So the procurement manager would look at all the things that need procured, and we would have to estimate like the date when the item would be needed, kind of on a schedule. And then the procurement manager could start looking at, okay, we're going to need this item. It costs 20. Oh, I found the Russian equivalent of it on a Russian website, blah, blah, blah. And I was really, really astounded that the items on Amazon for $27, like I said, and the exact same item from the Russian website is $8.92. Now, the reason I think that is then I looked at other items on the Russian website, and the prices in rubles was substantially lower for equivalent items here in the U.S., and I know why that is, because people make less money in Russia, right? So I've never really thought this through as far as how the global economies work, but in Russia, the average income is, what? Here, let me just go this way real quick. I'll switch so you can see while I'm doing it. Switch to the web, make sure we got audio still going. We do. So here's what I searched for the Ukrainian currency. That's one ugly dude, whoever that is. And there's the country of Ukraine, which is in the news a lot lately, right? What was I going to look up? Come on now. Oh, average, and I can't remember the name of it. What is the average income in Russia? So Russian wages, the recent update of Russia as per official statistics, the average monthly salary was 42,413 rubles, okay? Which is around 670 USD. I mean, I'm going to pull up my calculator. Well, that is a huge difference to our 2016 report when the average was around 437. In just 2.5 years, they've increased by 50%. So Russian wages, it sounds like, have increased huge, tremendously recently, right? And then I'm going to say, what am I going to say? 670. But let's compare this real quick, okay? Because this is what I'm going to tell you about real quick, okay? 670 times 12. One of the things I like about, well, they probably all do this nowadays, right? So 8,040, right? 670 times 12, 8040. 670 times 12 is 8040. Nice. And convert 8040 rubles into USD. So, this can't be right. No. Okay, I didn't need to convert it. I didn't need to convert it because the salary was 42,413 rubles, which is 670 USD already. Okay, so they converted it already. So the 8040 is the $8,040 is the average income of a Russian, okay? Which is watch. 63,179. So the average American has 63,179. So what does that tell you? It tells you that Russians spend less money in a year, and therefore the prices of the stuff have to cost less, right? Now you could say, well, there's some risk in ordering something from Russia, blah, 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 blah. And I'm not going to disagree with that, right? So you have to look at the risk versus the reward, and you know what I mean? What the reward is, the lower cost, et cetera, et cetera. But there's a huge advantage, in my opinion, of having a procurement supply chain manager looking at this type of stuff, looking at a supply chain manager shouldn't be looking at, well, they're going to look at everything, but they shouldn't be focused on a $1 item, right? They should be focused on the $300, $500, $1,200 items. You know what I'm saying? Because, and then saying, I've never kind of thought about this, but as we talk about a global economy, Amazon is geared towards the U.S. Let's be clear about that, because what this tells me is if Amazon was the only shopping source, the price of that item on a Russian website would have been the same as the price of that item on Amazon, if you understand what I'm saying. Because the fact that it was, what was it? It was $8.92 versus $27. So 9 and the 27 is a third. It's a third of the price on the Russian website, okay? And the fact that it was a third of the price was shocking to me. So I need a procurement supply chain manager to help with this, right? So, okay, we'll wrap this episode up, guys. I've covered everything I wanted to cover, and I've really I've beat this horse to death, but I've covered all of the positions. Now let's just count this real quick. I'm going to do something, and we'll literally go like this, and I can see there's 29. There's 29. If I select them all, it tells me that I've selected 29 items down on the bottom right here. Okay, so we need to have at least 15 volunteers. Okay, we need to have at least 15 volunteers, because I need people to fill these positions. If we don't fill these positions, CryptoPonics will not become a reality, okay? And if you're watching this and you're listening to what I'm doing, and I'm integrating the blockchain and the food security and the educational aspects. I mean, there's going to be a lot of I thought about this actually. I'm going to do this very soon. I'm going to do this before I start building my aquaponics system. I'm going to build a small test rig to test this and do this study before I do anything else, right? So I think I want to quickly go through and do a material takeoff for this. I got to come up with a name for this, but my design, my aquaponics design is going to be determined a lot based on this information right here, okay? This information is not available on the web. This is the educational portion of what I'm talking about. CryptoPonics, the very nature of CryptoPonics itself is educational. All of the data we're going to be collecting and looking at and dispersion modeling for CO2 inside of a greenhouse, and I need volunteers. So if you can, guys, if you can, and I beg you, even if it's 1 hour per year, I'm asking for involvement of my community. So if you're watching this video, please volunteer, because I need help. CryptoPonics will not be a full vision. When I say full vision, this vision I have requires this help. Okay, by myself I can create an aquaponics farm. I can do that. By myself I can brew beer. Okay. So, but can I do all of this? Can I do the CryptoPonics vision? Can I do excavatio de secretis? No. Okay. Now, one of the things, well, I have my mining rigs in my house right now, and I haven't turned my heat on. So one of the benefits is I've heated my house with my current mining rigs, right? I have ideas for this right here. Okay. So, and it won't be personal benefit ideas. It's going to be educational and aquaponics benefits, okay? And blockchain is part of that, right? Or yeah, it is. And we might actually create our own coin eventually, right? We might actually create our own CryptoPonics coin. It's a cool idea, but creating your own blockchain has quite a bit of involvement too. And by myself, again, you don't create a blockchain by yourself and have a successful blockchain. You know what I'm saying? So I'll be able to do this by myself. I'll be able to do this by myself. I'll be able to do this. This, not really. Now, I don't have anything defined in here yet, but this is all the computer systems, the automation, the data collection, the web integration. I won't be able to do. No, not going to happen by myself. So that right there is the educational portion again. So this is what would I call it? This is integration and documentation, right? Because you're documenting everything in the blockchain, et cetera, et cetera. This is the automation, computerization, and collection, right? I won't be able to do that by myself, and it wouldn't get done. So I almost want to say that that's a stretch goal in some ways, right? Let me put that in there. Partial, yes, come on. Come on, really? I'll put that in there while I'm here. Because I will have some stuff, but it won't be like the vision. You know what I mean? There's a big difference. Because a lot of this stuff, like those CO2 sensors, I said that's $500, right? And that's going to be for now. Not only is it CO2 dispersion modeling within the greenhouse, and it'll be with circulation blowers and all of that, but it's also going to have to be influenced by different types of vegetables that we're growing, because different vegetables have different CO2 uptake rates. And I'm curious, and I say this, I'm curious, like how fast does lettuce uptake CO2 versus how fast does a potato plant uptake CO2 or a tomato plant? Is there a difference, right? And then I was watching a video yesterday on oxygenated water that they've been talking about if you can do what's called nanobubbles, which are bubbles so small that they can't overcome the surface tension on the surface of the water. So the column of bubbles comes up to the surface, but it can't break the surface, so it kind of circles around almost like a mushroom cloud from a nuclear explosion. And they were saying that I've seen documentation, and I've downloaded some of it, that it says that by hyperoxygenating with nanobubbles, you can increase the yields up to like 16% of your greenhouse yield again. So I don't want to forget about that because that was so important in that video, and it's a 16% boost. It was like 12%, 16%. It's something in that area. And again, my goal is to produce more fish and more vegetables than anybody in the world per square foot of urban farming, right? So, Licentia is going to be required regardless. So, and then the System Solare. Somebody said, well, I think I was doing a stream, but somebody said, well, why don't you have a solar system, right? For green energy, renewable power, right? So this number here may change, so we'll have to look at what that is. But on my own, I would never do that because I can't afford that on my own, or it'd take me years and years for discretionary income just to start dropping this in. You know what I'm saying? So I need help, guys. I need help from, let's start off with volunteers, okay? I don't need help financially. I don't even want to start off with help financially. I want to start off with help from a volunteer standpoint. I want to start filling pseudonyms in here, pseudonyms. Is it pseudonames? Yeah, it's pseudonyms. I don't know, whatever. We'll figure out even if I have the right word here. I might have the wrong word. It might be pseudonyms. No, it's not pseudonyms. It's pseudonyms. I want to fill this out with people, and let's build the community. And I got to do that before I do any more stuff, right? I got to focus on this. If I can't get volunteers, I can't do any of this, right? Without your help, none of this becomes a reality. Now, Meepy, if you're watching this, Meepy, I know for a fact you could potentially volunteer as a graphic art assistant. You love doing, and you've shown me pictures you've done, and you know what I'm saying? And we could talk about ideas, and we could, but I know you'd be highly eligible for this. It's something you love. Now you may say, oh, but I could only give you 2 hours a month. Okay. That's more than 0 hours per month, right? So before I go any further, and I say this, I'm going to, when I say before I go any further, okay, so, and this is why I've done this process, right? I've done this process is before I go any further in the areas that I wouldn't otherwise be doing, right? So I know, like I said, I know I'd be doing these. These are all the things I'm going to be doing, right? Anything with a partial stretch goal or a stretch goal, I'm not going to work on anymore until we get some volunteers, right? Because if we get the volunteers, then we can make these goals happen, and if we get the volunteers, we can actually make this complete CryptoPonics division. I don't want to crowdfund until we are not crowdfunding. And you're going to say, but you already have a GoFundMe page. Yeah, I do. Okay, and it created it by accident, let's call it that way. But we're not going to crowdfund until we have these positions filled, right? Now, do you have to have electrical design manager in order to crowd? Some of this is discretionary, but we have to have volunteers in order to move forward. Otherwise, what you're going to see over the next year is you're going to see me doing just these little pieces here. Okay, and I say little pieces. These are kind of boring pieces. There's not going to be a lot of educational stuff. Because I won't be able to do all the educational stuff, right? Now, it may be entertaining. It may be somewhat educational in that just by having an aquaponics system, yeah, that's educational. Just by tracking cryptocurrency, that's educational as well, right? So with that said, guys, I'm going to wrap up this episode. Let's look at the crypto real quick. Let's look at the crypto market. I was just talking in Excel, and I wasn't showing you. I apologize for that. I still got to figure out this auto switching in OBS. If somebody could help me with that, that would be greatly appreciated. So let's look at our web information. And we will go check. I don't need to convert rubles anymore. We'll check our profitability right now. So let's update this. Okay, you can see that right now the unconfirmed balance, now it's at 0.97. Earlier it was at 1.5. So, and you see what happens is, well, you don't see it here, or do you? No, this is my hash rates. Let's look at the global hash rates. What you'll see typically with this, you'll see these spikes. So somebody puts a bunch of hashing power into our pool, they drop the hashing power, and this was probably where we were at the 1.5, and then it comes down and it's like 0.9 now, right? So, and 0.9 is, I'm really happy with 0.9, by the way. So if we could maintain 0.9 as an unconfirmed balance, that's going to get us some good coin for the day, right? So let's check this right here. Copy that. We'll go put it in our calculator. I'll get you over to the calculator in a second. Holy dear God. 6037. Hold up. You got to see this. Let me make sure that's the right number. I can't even believe this. Hold up. You got to see this. Okay, look at this. So I updated from the web. Right there's the current time for my location. 78.0832 is the current coins I have in my wallet that need to be paid. 6037, was that the current? Let me look real quick. I want to look up I don't think I updated it. Yeah, I did. I updated that. 6037. That's been updated. So far today, now again, it's only 0.15. It's 15% of a day, right? But at the current earning rate, we're earning 9.37 coins per day. And you see, when that value becomes available in the data set, you see what it does. It wipes out all of the other values from a coins per day perspective, because one standard deviation with that number is so far out of the normal. This number is way out of the normal. It's almost, well, it's double a lot of these numbers, right? Income per day, 566 at this horrible coin rate, right? You can see the coin rates aren't influenced by this either, right? So the 937, you got 566, and 284 was just, that was a terrible day. I had 3 hours of downtime on that day, and that's why, I had a horrible rate, right? And I should actually exclude that from the data, because I know it was artificially bad because of 3 hours of downtime, right? Incredible. So, and what I was saying on the pricing, you see 0.74, 0.77, 0.6, 0.6. So these are the worst 2 days today. And that's why I think I'm hashing the best, because maybe the difficulty is so low, right? Maybe people are pulling off and the difficulty is getting really low and the hash rate's going way up, or the coins per hash are going up, right? Maybe. I mean, I've never seen a number that high. And we'll update tomorrow, but wow is all I can say. I mean, let's look at that on a graph. Oh, jeez. Look at the graph. It's like, that's like crazy town. So, okay. So I mean, again, and because I hodl, coins per day don't matter. I mean, coins per day is what I'm interested in, right? Now, if ultimately I say that, if the coin goes to zero, or if the coin never recovers, right? I obviously do care about the long-term coin price. I have to explain this for miners, and for traders. I obviously care about the coin price, but as a miner, my job is to collect as many coins. And one of the things about mining, it's like dollar cost averaging. You're getting a little bit of coin, in increments throughout the day. And so you see, like today, for example, so far since 8:21 this morning to now, I've been just slamming the coin, right? Now, you're going to say, well, you could buy it for, no, you can't buy it for. So I'm actually mining better than I could buy it for, right? There's no way for this morning's period that I'm making $2.86, each graphics card actually showing a profit of 29. Now I got to reduce the efficiency of my PSUs, and I also have to, what was the other thing? Hardware replacement costs, which I don't have in here from a profitability standpoint, which I'll eventually talk about with the community. But that's huge. I'm making money. I'm making money then, and this is dollar cost averaging. So some days maybe I'm not making money, right? This day here, I'm going to say I wasn't making money here. I wasn't making money here. I wasn't making money here. So there's going to be some days I'm not making money, but then maybe there's some days I'm slamming it, right? And we'll have to see. But I'm not selling. I'm hodling. So my goal is to sell at, I don't know what I'm selling at actually. That's going to be an interesting question. Because if this, let's just argue this coin went up to $3, would I sell? Or would I keep holding? And I think I know what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to see, I'm going to have to find a website that does it though too, or a trading somehow. I have to set sell orders that are triggered based on, like if this went up to $5, I wouldn't want to sell, but I would want to put a stop loss order at like $3, and we'll talk more about that later. Anyway, seeing this huge 9.37 value in here, guys, it is very exciting. Now I do know that that's going to be tempered down. Okay, that will come down because of the 0.9. It was what, 1.5 earlier, and 1.5 is why that's so high. I wasn't watching the number continually, so maybe it went to 1.7 or 1.8. But now it's back, you know, it'll decrease some more. It'll come back down as the day goes on. But if that harvesting per, if that harvest, the what was that category called? Unconfirmed balance. If that unconfirmed balance goes back up, obviously I'm going to earn more coins then. That tells me how many coins I'm earning over a unit of time, okay? So thank you so much for joining me, guys. Please consider donating your time. Please consider volunteering. That's what I'm looking for. I'm going to cover crypto every day. Oh, I wanted to look at the markets real quick. 6037. So it's looking terrible. I think Bitcoin's going to still be at the 8100 mark probably. Let's go look at Bitcoin real quick. Let me switch. I apologize for the switching that it's not automatic, and I got to figure that out. And oh my God, Bitcoin's at 8,091. Okay, 8,091. It's about to go below 8,000. I think I'm going to keep an eye on it today. Look at the block size represents the volume. Look at the people fleeing over to Tether. And don't tell me that. Please don't tell me that I can't even see it anymore. This TUSD, I got to look that one up, because I don't even know what the coin that is. I know what PAX is, and I know what USD coin is. Right here, USD coin. Don't be writing any articles that tell me that USD coin is affecting Bitcoin price. Because USD coin, I mean, it almost couldn't get any smaller. I mean, it could be one of these little blocks down here, but it's pretty damn small if you understand what I'm saying. PAX was, where's PAX? Right here. Look at the size of PAX already, right? PAX is huge. So PAX is huge compared to USD coin. USD Tether is obviously where everybody's bouncing back and forth. And this is what the day traders are doing. They're jumping out of Bitcoin. They're jumping into Tether. They let Bitcoin go down. When it goes down enough, they got their trade signals and, you know, their what is it called? Technical analysis, right? And so what they do is they look at their technical analysis and they jump back in, and then they say, oh, I'm going to put a portion of my money back in the Bitcoin. And then all of a sudden Bitcoin starts going up again. And then when it goes up, then they jump out of Bitcoin back to Tether. And I think what we're going to see, how do I phrase this? We're going to see this ping-ponging going on from now on, right? There didn't used to be a Tether, right? There didn't used to be a PAX. There didn't used to be a TUSD, and there didn't used to be a USD coin, right? Now, the sizes of these blocks may change, right? But these blocks they're never going to go away again, right? Because people want a safe haven from the volatility of crypto. And what they're going to do, what's this mean, new version available? I don't understand that. But whatever, I'll update it anyway. Block size by volume. Okay, kept my volume setting. That was nice. But people are always going to be ping-ponging now. These are day traders. This is what's happening. Day traders are doing this. It's not the crypto miners. It's not anything else. It's the day traders ping-ponging back and forth that are causing this problem. And if it's not Tether, which tether may be, you know, right now, look at the size, it's huge. It's going to be this PAX, or it's going to be TUSD, or it's going to be USDC, or it's going to be some other stable coin is going to fill the hole, right? Because people are going to be just, Bitcoin is so volatile, right? And based on news and based on this and based on that, and I mean, this jumps 4% and people are like, oh my God, Bitcoin's down 4%, let me buy in. And that's exactly what you're seeing happen here. So why is it more volatile than stock market? I'm not sure I know that answer, but I'm not sure I need to know that answer. With that said, guys, thank you very much for joining me. To recap one final time, and you're going to say enough already. I've heard it 17,000 times. What I need from you is, how come this is 9.37 coins per day? Yeehaw! That's what this is what a hodler likes to see, is that your current data point is so large that it actually scrubs all the other standard deviations away. That this graph here is what a hodler likes to see. Okay? And last but not least, what I actually want to see, more than anything, I want to see pseudonames filled in this list for at least 15 volunteers. This is what I need. And one of the things I'm going to do is add, whether it's volunteers or local volunteers, it's a volunteer, right? You got to volunteer. So we're going to have some point reward for volunteers, right? And then we'll have to determine what we can do with those volunteer points as well. And I'm not sure the rate of, we'll have to talk about all that, guys, right? But I want to track everybody that volunteers. I want to track your time, right? So if you spend time volunteering, we'll track it. You'll get some points for it. Now, how those points convert into rewards, we'll have to kind of look at that. You know what I'm saying? But I want that to work as well. Now, if there's going to be a caveat to this, okay? Volunteer reward points will be functional based on excavatio de secretis becoming a reality, right? And the reason I say that is excavatio de secretis is actually going to generate income, right? So this is going to, and that's where this eventually could turn into a quote-unquote business, or the model could be replicated into a business, right? But this is going to provide, and I guess I never thought about that, right? This is plus plus plus. Come on now, where's this is plus plus plus. What did you just ask? I don't even know what it asked me. And then the rest of this stuff, and excuse me for rambling again. I mean, here I go again. It's just, I get so many ideas in my brain, right? These things all cost money, right? Although, Piscina de Obitus is a plus, I think, right? Because maybe you could say you're selling the plants, right? One of these is going to be the growing beds. I'm not sure which one is the growing beds in here. I'll have to look up the Latin for it. The system solar is a plus plus plus, right? It found an error. Oh, it puts a tick in front of it. Okay. So the solar system is a plus plus plus. It's also a stretch goal. The excavatio de secretis is a stretch goal. And the fish, oh God, come on. Forgive me for one quick second. I'm going to go look this up in Latin. And I'm embarrassed that I don't know my Latin translate. German. That's not German. Growing. Okay, growing. It's growing. I apologize for the dead air, by the way. So this is my location of growing. Right? Grow beds. I'm going to put this on here just so I know for now. eventually I'll know. Eventually I'll learn the Latin for it, which is kind of fun. It's like a little puzzle. Conservatorium. I wonder what that means. Copy. No, okay. I kind of remember this, but this is not. There's multiple meanings in it. Give me a quick second. Greenhouse. Oh, how fun is this? Yeah, I should have put these over here to begin with, right? Because I can't remember my own Latin. I converted all this stuff, right? Anyway, I'll do this on my own, guys. I'll update this. The point being is, okay, so the greenhouse is going to long-term have a positive effect? No. The greenhouse itself won't. The grow beds will, right? The grow beds will, because the grow beds are what's going to produce the vegetables, right? And I'm going to say the piscina de obitus I did. That's where you're going to harvest the fish, right? And the grow beds and yeah, the grow beds and the I'm going to be generating vegetables, so it'll generate stuff there. So the point being, volunteers. Let me put a star here. Payable when okay, payable when what? Payable when excavatio de secretis is active. Okay, so you'll accumulate volunteers will accumulate points, right? But it won't be payable until excavatio de secretis is active, the mining rigs, because the mining rigs will actually generate cryptocurrency, which will be convertible into fiat or into crypto itself, right? And then the other thing we're going to have to look at is that volunteers will have to convert their rewards equivalently. It's like one volunteer can't convert all of the rewards and then nobody else will be able to because it consumed it all. So we'll have to look at proportional consumption, if you understand what I'm saying. So if a volunteer had 10 hours and another volunteer had 1 hour, then the conversion ratio would be a 10-to-1 conversion ratio, right? So unless this volunteer didn't want to convert and then this person said, yeah, I want to convert my full hour, but this one didn't want to convert 9 hours. So we'll have to come up with rules for that, but I want my volunteers to be rewarded for their volunteer time, because volunteering is the same as donating, right? So guys, thank you so much. Look at this list. I know it's a long list. Social media coordinator, social media, crowdfunding, web management, graphic arts, cryptocurrency, aquaponics, brewing, automation programming. This is the Arduino / Raspberry Pi / sensor integration / right? Data transference to the web. Sustainable foods business manager, right? This is a business manager. Safety, program manager, operations supervisor, electrical design manager, legal compliance manager, and a procurement supply chain manager. These are all of the positions that for CryptoPonics to become real, which, I mean, imagine if we do become real. Just imagine how the world's going to be different. Because these urban gardens, I mean, again, if I can grow vegetables with a 30% or a 36% increase in efficiency, if I can do that, right? And let's say I can do nano nanobubble technology. Let's say I can figure out a way to generate nanobubbles, which the definition of a nanobubble is it's a bubble so small that it can't break the surface of the water because of the surface tension of the water. So it's so small it can't break the surface, so it remains in the water volume, in the water column itself, right? That's what a nanobubble is. I have seen reports that adds between, I think it was 12 and 16% increase in yield production of crops again too, right? So, and that was from a university. It was University of Minneapolis, I think, Minnesota. So just imagine. So now you're talking 30% and another 10% and just all of the education that this is going to provide to the world. I mean, this on the parts list, no, not the parts list, this goal. I have to do this, even though this is educational. I don't have to do this. Well, I kind of have to do this for myself, but I have to also, I guess I'm going to do this for myself, and if I don't get funding, I'm not going to release the, no, I'm going to release the data regardless, right? Because that's who I am. But I shouldn't. If I don't get funding for it, I shouldn't. If I don't get support, if I don't get volunteers, I shouldn't release this data because no one else has released it. No one else has spent. I'm not building one pump here, guys. I'm not building, look, various lift pumps. So I'm going to build probably 10 lift pumps, okay? And building those 10 lift pumps is probably going to cost me $150, let's just say. I'm picking a wild guess number, right? These geyser pumps are more involved. This might be $300, right? And this is, I know what this is. This is like $42, okay? And I don't even need to buy one of these for the tests. What I really need to do is design a crap ton of these, test it, check them against my calculator, make sure the calculator works. That's part of this education process, right? If it doesn't work, propose, new equations, whatever. The geyser pumps, it's the same thing. This is all educational, okay? And it's financial, it's money, right? Now I'm going to go through, I'm actually going to design these and come up with my design cases. And based on that, I'll be able to do a material takeoff and I'll be able to estimate the cost of it, okay? So with that said, guys, come volunteer. Come volunteer. Put your name on one of these slots here. You're watching this video. If you watch this video, I'm not going to put your actual name here. I'll put a pseudonym here for you. Okay? So we'll create a tab called pseudonames, and I'm going to need some contact information and stuff like that. I'll invite you to the Discord channel, obviously, because all volunteers will have, access, obviously, because we're going to have meetings at least once a week. Now, whether you can attend the meeting or not, so be it, right? But that's the way it is, right? And we'll talk about when the best time to talk about things would be, et cetera, et cetera. Okay? Or how. So put your name, if you're watching this, please volunteer for one of these things and put your name on here. And I want to look at something real quick because I'm so excited now. I mean, this is part of cryptocurrency, is the sheer excitement of stuff like, especially as a hodler, that coin generation rate is so phenomenal. It's exciting to me. I can't even begin to describe how exciting that coin generation rate is. And it's fallen off a little. It's 9.07 right now. So it's fallen off a little bit, but it's still holding like phenomenally high. Either my mining pool had its extreme luck, or there's some calculation error going on somewhere. But something weird is happening. The coin prices are still horrible, but I don't care about, as a hodler, I don't care about coin prices, do I? So with that said, guys, we'll wrap this episode up. Okay? Thank you so much for joining me. Find out exactly where your name fits into this list, even if it's just on a very low volunteer basis. And when you are volunteering, I want everybody that's volunteering to, we'll be tracking this time in Discord or something, right? And eventually, with the excavatio de secretis, with the mining rigs running, the mining rigs will generate revenue for us. I mean, that's now the beauty of this is if we get excavatio de secretis and we reach a stretch goal for sistema solare, the solar system, solar energy system, right? If we get that running, we're going to be energy free. So everything that excavatio de secretis does is going to be cash in the bank for us, right? We'll be able to do, when I say we, collectively, we'll be able to donate that money to supporters or do whatever we want with it, right? And we're going to have to come up with rules and all this stuff too. But you see, where did I have it here? 1 year's worth of electricity. This was a toggleable line item. I've talked about it before. But literally to run excavatio de secretis, it literally would cost $3,793 per year, right? So without System do Solare, then you're dependent upon the crypto market and how the crypto market is doing, right? If you get the solar system working, solar energy system, right? Then 1 year's worth of electricity isn't even an issue anymore. You can't even contemplate. And you'll see I did this all with formulas based on the graphics card, wattage, and the number, and blah, 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 right? So, okay. Thank you so much for watching. I know I ramble and I meander and I do all types of things, but it's how I generate. You'll see I didn't think I was going to develop any ideas during this live stream, but what happened was I've generated a ton of ideas. I've come up with an ever improving model. I mean, this is, I'm really excited now just thinking about this volunteers is that we start tracking volunteers' time donations, right? And we convert that into points. We convert that into CryptoPonic reward points. We'll have to think of a name for these, right? CryptoPonic reward points. And we'll wrap the text on that. Maybe make that field just a little bit bigger, right? Something like that, and then change here. Anyway, I've come up with so much additional value in this model because of talking through it with you, okay? And by doing that, now volunteers, my original concept was, well, yeah, volunteers should be rewarded for their time. Now, what you struggle with is how do you reward volunteers? Well, we know how, right? We know how we can reward volunteers. So if we become funded, once we actually calculate the true GoFundMe / Kickstarter / Indiegogo, whatever, once we determine the true value here, right, including our stretch goals, right, we can then reward our volunteers based on that value. We'll have to come up with we'll have to figure out, we have to kind of work through it and kind of say, well, if we did this, then blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? And this might have two parts about it, right? This might have one, it becomes payable when excavatio de secretis is active, and Systema do Solare multiplies reward points by X. And the reason I say that is if we can crowdfund excavatio de secretis and Systema do Solare, right? If we could do both of those, then I'm going to say the volunteer reward points can be substantially higher, right? We can agree on that much at least, right? Substantially higher. Now, if we only fund excavatio de secretis, then it'll be a certain amount of reward points, right? Because then we're still having to subtract the electrical usage, and if crypto isn't profitable, we'll still be running our rigs, but we'll be losing money by running the rigs, if you understand that, right? So anyway, it's kind of or will we run our rigs, right? That's a question. Who's going to pay for it? Maybe I have to run the rigs, or I can find alternate means of doing what. No. We'll it's all so integrated and complicated. Anyway, guys, I'm not going to say anymore. I've said this 7 times already. Come put your name in one of these slots. Let me know. You can say, hey, I want to volunteer for this. And I think for your pseudonym, we'll use whatever your YouTube name is, right? But if you want a different name, you can we can talk about that. You can get in contact with me. If you go to the YouTube channel, go to About Us, click on the contact, and you got to say I'm not a robot, whatever. And that'll give you an email address you can send an email to. Send me an email with your information. We'll get you signed up. And I'll get you into Discord, and we will start filling this out. We're not going to do, like I said, we're not going to do a lot of stuff in those areas until we get these. I've decided, I've determined, I'm the program manager, okay? And I've determined that we need to fill these roles, there's 15 critical roles here that need to be filled before we can move forward as a community, okay? With that said, guys, thank you so much for listening to my rambling. And come volunteer with us, okay? Thank you so much.